Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpeck here from Snowpeck Games. Got a couple of eyeballs. Not quite as many as usual, but... Ooh, there we go. Hey, Ross, good morning! Let me just fiddle with this stream overlay with the little characters for a moment. I gotta remember all my magic key codes to change it here. There we go. Let me get this set up as a proper overlay. While I'm doing that, how are you guys doing? How are you doing, Ricardo and Ross? How are your guys' projects going? Let me, hopefully not screw this up this time. By the way, this Stream Tools app, for anyone who is new to the stream, is a Godot game that we made on stream a while back. And there. You may or may not be seeing the characters floating over the screen. Ricardo, Ross, let me know if that is messed up in some way. I hope not. Yeah. So, no one sharing their project status. That's okay. It's early. Not everyone's ready to chat. So I will just give a really quick overview of the project for anyone who's new to the stream. Hey, The Clean, how's it going? Good to see ya. For some reason, I'm not seeing your... Oh, there we go. Now I see it in Discord. Or actually... I don't know. I'm just getting flustered here. Ooh, The Clean got a really cool character. You kind of look like Hulk Hogan, but you have a spear, which... Admittedly, Hulk Hogan would have been better with a spear. I think we can all recognize that. I was saying this in chat as during the lead-in period. My character really kind of looks like me, a dude with no hair. I have some hair, but not a lot of hair. I probably won't have it for very much longer. And the long black beard. We got some very normal, but pretty cool looking characters. The Clean, I think, wins this round of the character lottery. So anyway, I was going to give a quick rundown of the project for folks who may be new to the stream, watching it on YouTube later or whatever. We are working on Retro Tank Party, which is one of my games. It's a 2 to 4 player online multiplayer PvP kind of party game thing where everyone's in tanks trying to shoot each other, power-ups and such. It's fun. It's a tiny little game, but it's fun. Especially, if you can get a group of friends who really like to egg each other on, talk trash, that sort of thing. And we have been working on converting the game from its original relatively naive form of network synchronization to a more sophisticated form of network synchronization called rollback and prediction, which is most commonly used in competitive fighting games. The GGPO library, which is, I don't know how often it's actually used, but it's pretty well known among developers who do network stuff. We're basically implementing the same thing as that in our own little library for Godot. In the last bunch of weeks, we have been working on deterministic network physics. One of the requirements of rollback and prediction is that everything needs to be deterministic. Godot's built-in physics engine isn't deterministic, so we built our own. And that is basically done at this point. The physics engine. So since the last stream, actually on the last stream, we were working on trying to get more of the power-ups working. We were specifically we got spread working. Hey, Elliot. Whoa, I like your Discord emoji, but it didn't turn up on the stream here. And you got a pretty cool character too. You got basically my dude's same beard, but red-ish or brown, and a shield, ready to do some defense, to be the tank in our stream imaginary RPG. So anyway, last time we were working on converting the different weapons to work with the new physics engine, and we got spread working, and we spent the rest of the time working on Railgun, which we didn't finish, but now I have totally working. Also, I went through and fixed all of the like movement numbers. When we were converting to the new physics engine, we were switching from floating point math to fixed point math, and I had tried to translate, the speed numbers and turning speed numbers and bullet movement speed numbers. And for whatever reason, like I was getting the calculations wrong. Like they seemed like they should have been right, but didn't work. So we kind of made up some new numbers. I went back, figured all that out. So now all of the speed values should match the released version of the game, at least roughly, since, difference between floating point and fixed point math may not be exactly the same down to, whatever decimal point, but very, very close. And I got the tracer working too, but can't really test it here because we don't have another tank. And I also worked on the different abilities. So the boost ability now works with the new physics engine. Zap, like really heavily used tweens, the Godot tween node, and I had to switch it to not use tweens because the tween node is based all on like time numbers. So you say like, I want this property to animate from this value to this other value, and I want it to take 0.15 seconds. And we can't do anything based on time numbers like that. Thanks, Ricardo. We can't do things with time numbers with that because floating point math error, differences between timings on different systems. We have to base everything on frames when we're doing rollback and prediction. And so I had to remove the tween node, and it works fine. I'm just doing like some manual frame counting and updating the values, but it doesn't look quite as cool. Here, let me just show you the code really quick. Here is Zap, the Zap scene. So I just have it in the network process saying, okay, we're in the hiding stage. So every frame we're subtracting a certain amount from the scale. Then we get to the moving stage and we're adding a certain amount to the position every frame. And we get to the showing stage. And again, we're, having it scale back into view. But the tween node has these easing functions, which, made it look kind of snappier and cool when it shrunk. I forget exactly what easing function I was using, but it made it feel more like alive and animated and cartoonish. And now it's just like a straight linear thing. And probably what we should do is make our own version of the tween node that does things in frame numbers rather than times, with like all of the easing functions and that, because we totally could. But as I was working on this last night, I just didn't want to re-implement the tween node. But, as a future thing to put into our rollback and prediction asset for the Godot asset library, maybe at some point we'll say, hey, let's make a network deterministic fixed point version of the tween node. For now, I think this is fine. I don't really even care. I'm happy to release with this sort of boring linear animation there. So anyway, are there any that I skipped? Oh, invisible. Yeah, invisible works too. Turn invisible, do this. When it gets close to the invisibility running out, it'll start to blink. There we go. There's the blinking. And now we're not invisible anymore. So there is really nothing in the gameplay code that hasn't been converted to the new physics engine except for everything related to the football mode. And I'm going to kind of do that last because the football mode contains a lot of like copy and paste stuff from other modes. And I just want to finish all that out first. And then I'll go back and look at it and copy and paste all the stuff from the other areas to get going. So like the physics engine, is more or less done. I did a little bit of cleanup on it as well. There's a little bit that I missed that I noticed while I was working on things last night. I had this horrible naming convention, which I'm sure people who've watched the stream were familiar with, where I was naming like the internal, some of the internal math objects with like snake case and lowercase, and then like all the other classes with like camel case. And I don't know, it was weird having two different naming conventions. I had some things combined in single files, and so I reorganized some stuff, getting ready to actually release this to the asset store. So here's an example of something that I changed in the cleanup, just so if we're looking at the code later, it will make sense to you. Where is the math things? Okay, yeah, so previously this internal vector2 was it went like fixed vector 2, and that's how we named it. And I kind of like that because it's like a primitive value kind of looking thing. Primitives tend to be lowercase, like int, float, whatever. But it's totally inconsistent and weird. And I was already doing this thing with the shapes where I was naming the sort of like exposed to Godot shape, just like SG rectangle, and then the internal version SG rectangle internal. So I kind of switched everything to use that naming convention. It's also not great because like this is just such a mush of letters that I look at it and I have to like sort of think for a second to process what it is. Whereas, you know, fixed vector 2, like I could easily recognize the difference between that and fixed rect 2, right? Whereas now, now they kind of look the same as SG fixed rect 2 internal and SG fixed vector 2 internal, right? Like so many of those letters are identical, and like I need to notice like right in the middle here that this is different. That it's vector 2 and not rect 2, but whatever. It's fine for now. It's better than being inconsistent. I think that's better for releasing this as an independent project. So yeah, we are hopefully going to be able to move away from physics, except for fixing bugs or adding little features. I'm maybe a week or two away from releasing the physics engine as its own project, making a repo for it on GitLab, putting it on the Godot asset store. And now we're back to netcode. And what I want to work on today is addressing an aspect of rollback and prediction that we haven't addressed before, and that is random numbers. We sort of glossed over it on a previous stream when we were working on the drop crates. We were converting the drop crate spawn areas, where the heck are those, to the new physics engine. And that was in here, yep, drop crate spawn area, which, you know, every 20 seconds spawns a new drop crate within this specific area, and it uses random numbers for a bunch of things. It uses a random number to determine what the contents of the crate will be, and via the free space detector class here, where it's going to put the drop crate. And at the time, I was saying like, well, we could maybe have a shared seed for the random number generator. I'm like, I don't really like that idea. At least that's what I said then. I've kind of come around on that. The way the game works currently is anytime there's a random number, it's generated on the host, and then the host distributes the result of whatever random calculation was using random numbers to the rest of the clients. And that's something that we could do in this version of the game too, with rollback and prediction. But you know, thinking about this more over the last couple of weeks, just like philosophically, sharing a random seed and having the random numbers just generate the same on all the hosts without having to share stuff. Oh no, my dude is stuck at the top. Let's re-randomize there. Okay. We didn't lose anybody? Everyone's still here? Okay, good. It's like when you're with a whole bunch of kids at the museum or something and you have to like count them at the end. Did we lose any kids? I think we've got everyone there. We've got our Hulk Hogan impersonator with the spear and everything. All right. But just philosophically, I think the idea of like a deterministic random number generator kind of fits in. And so I'm going to try that. I'm going to try doing something with sharing random seeds. And we're going to attempt to implement that on stream today. There's a bunch of challenges. Let me make a new picture here so I can draw some stuff. So first of all, we have to share this random seed somehow. That's relatively easy, I think. At the start of the match, we'll have the host generate the random seed and then distribute it to all of the clients before the match actually starts, so that they'll all have it before they need to do anything with it. The other challenge is that we need to be able to roll back the random number generator. So the random number generator, given a particular seed, will generate the same sequence of numbers. Let's say for some reason we're generating a random number every frame, and we're generating, say, 2, 37, 5, and I don't know, 92. So this is each frame we're generating, a new random number. And we're on this frame, we need to roll back to this frame, and when we play forward again with whatever new change we got for whatever reason we're rolling back, we need for this same sequence of numbers to happen again. And looking over the documentation for the, come on, I'm pressing Control N. Why are you not giving me a new window? Firefox. Okay, so looking at the Godot documentation for the random number generator class, I think it gives us a tool to do this. It has these two properties, the seed, which is self-explanatory, and then this state, which I haven't actually tested this. I've never used this property in Godot before, but looking at the documentation, it seems to do exactly what we want. So like looking at this little code snippet, it prints a random number, it saves the state, store current state, advances the internal state by generating another random number, then returns that save state, and according to this little snippet, prints the same value again when it has restored that state. So our rollback and prediction library has kind of this idea where you have a node in Godot, you put a particular group on it, and then you can implement some methods. So the group says, I want to participate in rollback and prediction, and then you can implement like a save state method and a load state method. And so we would just make a special network random number generator node that would participate in that system and save this piece of information in its state, load that in its state. So I think that is we just need to execute on that. I think Godot gives us the tools to do that. The third, and I hope final challenge, is that we need to be able to have multiple streams of random numbers. And this one I think might be the trickiest. I don't have a foolproof way to set this up yet. But the reason we need multiple streams is there are several different types of things that need random numbers, and we don't want them to interfere with each other during a rollback. So let me give you an example. The zap power-up uses the random number generator to pick the place that you're zapping to. And the drop crates use the random number generator to pick where it's going to put the drop crate and what's going to be inside of it. So let's say things are going along, a drop crate spawns, it has a particular content. You see that crate, you shoot it, you go pick it up. Now a rollback happens that rolls back to just before the crate is spawned, and let's say the new information that you got is that another one of the characters has zapped, right? So now, where previously the drop crate spawn area was consuming, each of the random numbers in the sequence, now suddenly the zap, oops, that is not a straight line. The zap power-up is consuming one of the numbers, and now the drop crate spawn area is getting these next set of numbers. And so now, because we've rolled back and gotten this new data that another character has zapped, we're now going to generate the drop crate in a different spot with different contents. And depending on how many frames we're rolling back, like this could provide a really weird experience to the player. Like they see a drop crate, they shoot it, maybe they even pick it up, and all of a sudden, like, everything changes, the drop crate's in a different spot, or maybe it changed what was in it. So now, like, you said you had this power-up, and now suddenly it says you have a different power-up. So we need to have these different like streams of random numbers for different purposes. And I think that kind of works well with the idea that we're going to have a node be the random number generator. So anything that needs to generate random numbers would just say, okay, I'm going to attach one of these network random number generator nodes to my scene, and we're cool. The part that I don't know exactly how to handle there is we are sharing a seed at the beginning, right? Each of these random number generators is going to need another seed, and we don't necessarily know how many things are going to need to generate random numbers. And the clean saying Retro Tank Party Extended Universe. I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to, but I like the idea of that. Multiple realities. Oh yeah. No, okay, so the splitting, yeah, the different random numbers happening. The multiverse. Are you guys watching the Marvel What If show on Disney Plus? I watched the most recent episode last night, even though it came out on Wednesday. But I like the sort of multiverse concept. Elliot is totally watching the Disney Plus stuff. I know. That actually, I wonder like a sort of multiverse feature for the game, like how that would look. Someone should have a game jam where the theme is multiverse, because I think this could lead to some really interesting game mechanics, like a power-up that like splits reality, and then you sort of like see time go back a little bit, and then you can like change something, and then it plays time forward again, which we could totally do with like just utilizing the rollback functionality in Retro Tank Party. That would be really interesting. So like something where like it forces everyone's state to roll back to a previous state, and then keeps everyone there for a certain number of frames, except for one character. And that character can like go over to a spot, mess with something, and then it unfreezes and like forcibly rolls everyone forward a bunch of frames. That would be so cool. We totally shouldn't do it though. This project has gotten so big already. Yeah, Loki was so great. I loved Loki. Of the Marvel series, I might have liked Loki the best. I don't know. WandaVision was also really good, but the characters weren't quite as like interesting. I think the character development in Loki was maybe better. I don't know. It's great stuff. Great stuff. You guys should watch it. So anyway, to sort of undistract myself, retroactive tank party. Ooh, Ross, I like that. I like that. I kind of feel like this is an amazing idea for a game. Something with rolling back as a game mechanic and altering things and then rolling forward. Like, that would be so cool. Change some fundamental thing and then see how things play out. Someone has to do that. That would be so cool. I'm gonna have to think about this some more. Okay, anyway, back on course here. So we need these multiple streams. Fine, that's multiple nodes. But how do we get their seeds? Because we don't necessarily know how many of them there will be, right? So like Zap needs to generate random numbers, but we don't know if anyone will even have Zap. We also, because the game supports modding, for better or worse, anyone could add a new thing that needs random numbers. So I'm not sure. The idea that I have right now to support these multiple streams is that we have like a sort of single like master random number generator whose only purpose is to generate seeds for the other random number generators. So we would have like our Zap random number generator, when it's instantiated, would say, hey, master, although I guess we're not supposed to use the word master anymore. What could I call it? Wow, trying to think of unfraught terms. We'll call it the... What's something that plants seeds? Because it's distributing seeds, like Johnny Appleseed. We'll call it Johnny. All right. So the main random number generator is named Johnny, and it gives seeds to the other random number generators. So Zap instantiates. It says, okay, Johnny, give me a new seed. And the drop crate spawn area instantiates, and it needs a new seed. So it asks Johnny for another seed. And the only problem here is we have to know for certain that things will always be instantiated and ask for a new seed in the same order. And I don't know that that is true now. I guess we will implement it and see what breaks and figure out how we can make it true. That we have a deterministic order that things are grabbing these seeds. So then in that case, the host just needs to generate the mother seed. We'll call it the mother seed to give to the Johnny on all of the clients. At first it was frustrating that I was trying to not use the word master, but now it's amazing. Because we are totally going to call this thing Johnny in the code. We 100% are. It's going to happen. All right. So let's try and implement that. That's what we're going to try and implement today. Any questions? Any questions, class? You're not really a class. You guys are probably smarter than me in many cases individually, but definitely collectively. But if anyone have any questions or comments on the plan, because that is the plan. I'm thinking we'll put this into our main asset, since this is a generally useful thing. to go along with our network animation player, our network timer, those kind of general purpose tools to go along with the library. Do I need to make a scene for it, or do I just make a script that attaches to a scene? I think just a script that attaches to a scene, right? Because that's what we did for network timer. Yeah, I think that works. That works. Just checking if there were any comments or questions. Looks like none so far. All right, so to fit with our naming convention that we've been using, which is just appending the word network in front of everything, we'll call this network random number generator. And we'll start here. We'll worry about Johnny a little bit later. We'll just start with a single node that can do this magic for us. And all right, descends from node. That is good. We need for it to, oops. Why is it not? Oh, because I'm thinking the wrong programming language. I'm typing def when I mean func. All right, ready. We're going to have it add itself to the network sync group, which tells our library that we want to participate in rollback and prediction. So I'm just quickly taking a peek at some stream stuff to make sure everything is still claiming it's healthy. I think so. I hope so. Let me know if there's any fires, if you guys are seeing any fires. All right, so we're going to add it to network sync. We need to have a random number generator. We'll just call it generator, I guess. We will create it in our ready function here. We'll need a way for external things to set the seed. So we'll have a set seed method. That should be good. I think the seed is an integer. I should know this because later we're going to be passing it over the network and dealing with it. Yeah, so the seed is an integer. To prevent me from forgetting that fact, I'll put some type information here. And like we were talking about before, we need to save its state. So save state, which will be called by our rollback prediction library. Return a dictionary. And this should be super easy. We'll just call it state, because that's what the property is called, which we'll grab from generator state. And load state, which will later take that dictionary in the case that we were rolling back, and it will set it on our generator object. All right, why are you complaining? Okay, cool. It was just slow. So that seems good. We need to be able to ask it for a number. I think we're going to sort of mimic some of the methods on the built-in random number generator class. We're not going to do any of these floating point ones because we kind of want people to not do floating point values. Although floating point values are okay for purely visual things, because we are using some floating point numbers for some visual stuff. Ricardo says, no fires, except there's a game jam called the Godot Fire Jam that started today. Theme, everything changes. Cool. I had not heard about that jam, although there's so many jams going on in the world, like how can anyone hear about it? Everything changes is an interesting theme. Okay, I need to not start thinking too hard about this theme. I'll start like generating game ideas, which I need to not do. I need to focus. But thank you for sharing that, Ricardo. no shade for Sharon. I just have a very distractible mind. Okay, so maybe let's skip the floating point values for now, just because I know we don't need them now. But I guess I could see an argument for having the floating point stuff be on there. But we're going to make a rand I and a rand I range method. Maybe even having a randomize method. Because we do need to generate the seeds somehow, and we want the random number generator to be the thing generating seeds. So I'm imagining the host will have its random number generator, it will call randomize, then it will get the seed, and it will share it with the other host. So our other hosts, the other, I guess host does make sense in that sense. Like you can refer to a computer as a host, but the other clients. So we'll implement these 3 methods, and we need to have a way also to get the seed then too. I wonder if we should do these as properties like it is here. Well, we'll start with methods. We need the methods anyway. So we need a get seed which we can make a property up here, which we apparently can't call seed. Seed is a reserved word? What does it mean? Okay, well, okay, we're not doing property because apparently that's like a reserved keyword. And we need to have randomize. Oh, come on. Will it let me do it, or is it gonna like complain? We'll see if it lets me do this. Yeah, I guess there's a global method called randomize. Because there's like also a global random number generator in Godot. I think the global one existed first, and then later they made the class so that you could have multiple random number streams like we need here. So okay, let's see if we'll just use this method name and see if it yells at us later. We'll just pass along, call the method there. Same deal here. So rand I returns an integer, return generator. And rand I range. Just see what they called the different from to. Different arguments there. So from int to int, returning an int. And also pass along those values. So far we're just kind of a layer over the generator object. And that might be all that we need right now. At some point, we will need to set up whatever mechanism we're going to have for it to get its seed from Johnny. I think that's good. So the thing I want to focus on first is the drop crates, because I haven't been able to test the different weapons and abilities in network play because the drop crates don't spawn on all of the clients. And if I had them spawn on all of the clients, they'd spawn in different places with different contents. And so we still just wouldn't be able to test it. So I really want to be able to test the different abilities and weapons. So we need the drop crates to work. So we'll start by adding one of these to our drop crate spawn area. Oh, I need to put a class name in it so that it will appear in that menu. Class name, network, random number generator. Yeah, and I'm going back to drop crate spawn area. Instantiating that, network. Not instantiating, adding, right? There we go. And we'll just name this random number generator. That name is long enough as it is. And now we need to use it everywhere that we would have used the built-in one. So var random number generator. I'll grab it off the scene. Oh, this is interesting too. How does the free space detector get its random number generator? Let's have it, we'll pass it in. We'll pass it in. That sounds like a good way to do this. Do you need randf range with fixed point numbers, I guess? Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. Although we can use rand I range and then create a fixed point number from the integer. And maybe that's the better way to go here, because these two assets are separate, right? The network sync rollback asset is going to exist completely independently of the physics engine, and then the physics engine is going to be a different asset which has no explicit dependencies on the rollback thing. Of course, like they make a lot of sense together. But I don't want to require them to work together. You could have a game that doesn't need physics at all, that could use the network sync rollback asset, or you could have a game that is doing a different network synchronization technique, but still wants deterministic physics and then use the physics extension. So yeah, like I guess I could imagine we could have like a special class that's distributed with this that's like the fixed point version that like descends from this one, like inherits from it and adds some extra fixed point methods or something. But I think we'll omit that for now. But that's a really good point. That would be super useful because you could have two fixed point numbers and you want to say, give me something between them. Somebody's stuck at the bottom. Let's get him out of there. That was Elliot. Elliot was stuck at the bottom. We've saved him. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to set up the free space detector to take a random number generator, because I kind of want the stream of numbers associated with the drop crate spawn area to kind of all be together, so that the free space detector will draw from the same stream, which means we have to modify our free space detector utility, which I think is under utils. Nope. Free space detector, there it is. Okay. So how will we pass this in? We'll need some sort of like setup free space detector method that takes a random number generator. And then we'll have the game object call this, because we're requesting game to create the random number generator. And what do we do if it doesn't exist? Always the question. Well, we're kind of ensuring that it has to exist, but like, what if something goes wrong? I don't know. I guess we'll get an exception. We'll hopefully find it in development. I'm just going to punt on that question and we'll hope for the best. And if there's problems, we'll try to tighten up that code. So where is the game class? Free space detector takes a random number generator, and we detector setup free space detector random number generator. There we go. Okay, so in our drop crate spawn area, we do that. I guess let's look at random number or blah, 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 free space detector first, and convert its method. So this rand I needs to become. I'm gonna get so sick of typing random number generator. Let's settle on like a standardized abbreviation for this. Can we call it RNG? I wish I'd have thought of this earlier. I'm gonna go back and rename these to RNG. At least in the places that we're like using it heavily, which, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so we'll do RNG.randi, RNG, randi. Is that all we got? Just those two? Cool. And we'll go back to drop crate spawn area, do the same thing. Control-Shift-R, is that the search and replace? The clean? Control-Shift-R. Parse error. Oh, is it just mad at me because I'm... Control-Shift-R is not doing anything nice for me. Maybe because the error is here? I'll fix these errors and then see if it likes me. Control-Shift-R. No. What's Control-Shift-R supposed to do? Do I have to have something selected? Where is, oh, search, Control-R. Control R brings up the search and replace without the shift. So if I would have maybe selected random number generator, I'll bring that up. Okay, yeah. Cool, no worries. I'm always happy to learn more of the shortcuts. I forget who was that said on stream the evaluate expression one, but I use that like all the time now. The Control Shift E to like calculate stuff in the text editor. That is amazing. I can't believe like how much time that has saved me. I usually have to have DC open in like another terminal window to like do simple math, but now I can just type it into the editor, which is awesome. All right, so I need to replace this randi. So this should just work. It doesn't do any of the special syncing that we need it to do quite yet, but let's just make sure nothing's going to explode. And then we'll go on to actually sharing the seed and making this thing be useful. So I guess we need some drop crates to spawn. Oh, and I'm actually thinking of an instance when this is going to crash. If I were to use the zap ability, it would crash. Let's wait for a drop crate to spawn, and then I will crash it with a zap. 20 seconds of driving around. There we go. Drop crate spawned. It contains some stuff. Cool, so that works. And then zap will crash. Bam. Crashed. So we now need to change the zap ability to also have a random number generator. That should be easy. The abilities are scenes, which I don't know why I made abilities be scenes and not make weapons be scenes. It's a really weird choice, but like it turns out to work amazingly. Having the abilities be scenes has like really helped with having them work with rollback and prediction. I suppose it's possible that at some point I will be like, you know what, the weapons need to be scenes too, but so far that hasn't been the case. All right, so the zap scene, we can just straight up attach a random number generator there. And we will grab it via onReady. And the free space detector, wherever that is created, needs to pass in the RNG. I don't think we do any other randomness. I think that only picking the spot. That's all the randomness that happens here. All right. So that should not crash. I'm just going to verify that that does not crash now, so we can sort of iteratively move step by step through here. There we go. We are zapping. Okay. Now we need to figure out how we are sharing the seed between the different clients in the game. So, let's look at how a match is set up. So a bunch of stuff is done by the match manager, but I'm wondering if this needs to be done at a higher level than the match manager, because the match manager can be replaced by a mod, and we don't ever want this to not happen. But let's look at the match manager first. So that would be in components, I think. Modes. Base manager, that's the match manager base class here. We have a match setup, which takes a bunch of stuff about the teams and the map. Game. I wonder if game is the place to do it, because that is super fundamental. Game is never swapped out. Game manages the camera and the life cycle of the individual like tank game objects. That might be the place to do it. Let's go look at the game class. So I'm thinking about when the players are initially spawned. Yeah, and game setup is happening. Initializes the game, so it's already to start. And we do a synchronized start in game setup. I forget what is actually managing the synchronized start though, because like everything gets game set up, and then game start happens. So I think we want game setup to pass in like whatever our random seed is going to be. Oh, okay, here we go. I see how the synchronized start is happening. We're using our remote operations little singleton thing to have an operation happen on all clients and then sort of synchronize when it's finished and then move on to the next operation. That's part of not just the rollback and prediction version of the game, but the other version as well. We use that a ton in the like the setup of a match. Like you have the thing where you're like configuring what the game mode is and which map and all of that stuff. So do we just pass it in? And what calls game setup? That is the question. Let's get in the terminal so we can do some grepping. Oop, there we go. I need to make it huge. And let's go into source probably game setup. Oh, interesting. So I was hoping that game would be kind of like higher level, but it turns out to be maybe it's like below the matches, kind of. So we can see base manager, that's the base class of the game manager, like the game mode thing is calling game setup. And then in practice, the practice kind of thing we pick from the menu, we just say we want to practice, that is also directly calling it. Let me go look at base manager again. So match setup is happening. Where's game setup happening? I wanted to find game setup. Yeah, so this method gets overridden by the individual match modes, which kind of sucks. Like I don't want to have anything hypercritical happen here. I'm also a little confused. So didn't game setup pass in like an operation value? Like why isn't that happening? Maybe there's some like stale code in here. So game setup is called and it has this operation. Are we not using that anymore? Is that just like not a thing we're doing? Is the default value of null? Where to put this? Deciding where to put things and deciding what to name things. That is definitely one of the most common and hardest problems in software development. So what is calling match setup? Let's keep going up the chain here. In base manager, we have do match setup. What is calling that? Is it being called here? Do match setup. Okay, that's being called by match setup. This, I think, is actually not overridden by child classes. Of course, they could, but I think it's a thing that's not usually overridden. Let me verify that. We'll grep around in the mods folder here. We'll search for match setup. Cool. So the way that this is set up is that match setup is supposed to be final. Of course, there's no final keyword in Godot. We just pretend this one's final. And the do match setup is supposed to be the virtual function. Again, of course, there's no virtual keyword in GDScript, but this is the one that's overridden by child classes, and this is the one that is stable. So maybe this is the place to do it. Maybe this is the spot to do it. So we still have the question of what's calling this, though. What is calling match setup? Let's grep for that. So go to source, match setup, the match class. This is actually looking good now. So the match class in, we have a set of these like match scene, or not match scenes, these main scenes, which are kind of like what are really scenes, you know, like if you're using Unity and what you would call a scene, or actually I'm not 100% sure that that's how Unity works, but the way I imagine it works is the scenes in it are actual like scenes and not just like components, the way we use them in Godot as components. So like the match scene is like the scene that is a match of the game, and the practice scene is a, you know, the place where you practice, and the session setup, that's where we're doing the UIs for setting up the session, blah, blah, blah. So this seems like a pretty good place to do this kind of initialization. Of course, we initialize matches from a couple of different places, both from the match scene and the practice scene. So maybe it's something that lives on the match manager, but is just kicked off from here, maybe. Okay, so where's match setup called? So, whoa, okay, so it's synchronized via this scene setup. Maybe even the scene setup is where we should generate the seed. Ah, so much indirection, so much indirection. So, okay, where is scene setup called? Okay, so that's part of remote operations. Jeez. For such a simple game, like it has gotten quite complex over time here. So let's go look at remote operations so I can see what method leads to calling this thing and blah blah blah. We're working our way up the chain here. So this remote operations thing has some sort of built-in functionality for spawning a scene across all of the clients, and I think I put that in an add-on, right? No, maybe not. Maybe it's just a singleton specific to this project. Yeah, okay. This would be a good thing to put in the Godot asset store, actually, though, this remote operations singleton. It's 100% generic, or not 100%, now I'm looking at it. It like uses our method for looking up like who are the peers and stuff, but that could be made generic. Yeah, and it has this built-in fallback scene, but there probably would be a way to configure that. But yeah, I could see this being useful in, you know, any kind of network game with Godot, doing these sort of synchronized, where you need like something to happen on all of the hosts and have them all say, hey, we're done, and, you know, kind of move in lockstep. It's used extensively in just configuring and initializing the match before, like, then the rollback and prediction stuff takes over. Anyway, so change scene, I think, is what we're looking for. So somewhere, change scene is being called on the match scene. So let's okay, and some info is being passed in. Then where the heck were we going to generate the seed? Because we'd want it to be passed to all the clients at the same time, right? So when we're doing a true network match, it looks like there's session setup, then there is match setup, and match setup is the thing that is kicking this off. Let's get there. Match setup. We'll search for change scene. Okay. So this is everyone presses ready. Is this just the, how is this, is it just the host that calls this? It must be. How are we ensuring that only the host is triggering this? So, on ready screen. What is doing this? Okay, let's find the scene. I need to reorient myself to the way these different UIs work and how we know that it's the master doing this and not the one of the puppets, as they are called in the high-level networking API in Godot. Main match setup. Okay, here's the scene. And let's look at it. We have this ready screen. Let's show it so I can see it. Okay, so this button is the start match button, and it's disabled unless you are the master. Okay, cool. So we know when this method is called, when this method is called, it's going to pack up all of this data and pass it to every single client in the match, so they will all be getting the same value. So here we can stash a random seed. We need to generate the random seed somehow. I'm thinking we want to have the random number generator in Godot generate the seed because it will generate a seed that has a likelihood of generating very different values from a different seed. I learned that in the documentation, actually. In the seed section, it says the RNG does not have an avalanche effect and can output similar random seeds given or similar random streams given similar seeds. Consider using a hash function to improve your seed quality if they're sourced externally. So if they're not sourced externally, my understanding is that it will generate seeds that lead to very different streams. Whereas if you're letting like users type them in or generating them through some other method, you might end up with like different seeds that actually lead to the same stream. And that's why they're suggesting a hash function, because hash functions also have this property of taking whatever input and making it be wildly different. So I would like for one of these to generate it. So I'm thinking maybe we create a random number generator object here, like the Godot built-in one, random number generator. We call randomize. And then over here, we say RNG seed. We just grab the seed from there. And now we need to pass this down to where it needs to land. And I'm thinking where I want it to land is the game class, because the game class is not generally overridable by any of the mods, and tons of things have reference to it. Like all of the weapons, all of the abilities, they all have reference to the game class. So it will make it easy for them to, say, hey, game class, give me something, which we're going to put Johnny on the game class. And what we're going to be asking the game class for is a new seed, which maybe we should hash per the documentation we just read. So maybe we get the seed and then we hash it with some hash method before we do that, before we use it as a seed. I'm kind of glad that we reviewed that documentation just there. So let's start descending back down this chain. We need to go to, this takes us to the match scene setup. Info will get our random seed, which we need to pass in somewhere. Actually, we have the game object, like the game right here. Where do we get it from? Oh, because it's a child of the thing. Could we just set it on game right now? I don't know. I kind of like the idea of using game setup because then it puts all of the game setup in one spot, right? So we'll just pass it in. We'll pass in info random seed. I don't know if that's the right order for these arguments to be. Or no, it's passing in info anyway. Okay, we don't need to pass it in because it's passing in info right here, Okay. So then it takes us back down to base manager. Match setup. Okay, so here is a great place to grab the random seed. Because game setup is happening further down, we'll need to stash it on a member variable. I always try to put these things in the same order. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with that. Putting things in the same order in different places. Random seed equals info. Random seed. Okay, so now we have it in the match manager, which then we go to do match setup, which actually calls game setup, which is now where we are going to pass in the random seed. Wait. Okay, I was like, why is there already a property called random seed? But it's just seeing the property I just created. I don't know, I have dumb brain lapses like that sometimes. Okay, so we have now passed it from match setup to now game setup. Let's get over to the game scene game class. I specifically want to go to the scene because then I can attach Johnny to it. Where the heck is this? Too many directories, too many files. Game, there you are. Okay, so game has like the maps, the players, the cameras, all that fun stuff. And we need to add a new node network number generator, which, as we have discussed extensively, is going to be named Johnny. Dude, are we really gonna call it Johnny? I don't know. I have a feeling if I have to edit this code a year from now, I'm gonna be looking at the seed and be like, why is this node called Johnny? Which will be funny. I will laugh, but then I will have no idea what the hell is going on. Oh, I'm gonna go boring. I'm just gonna call it random number generator. I'm sorry if some people are getting their hearts attached to Johnny. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. All right. We'll call it RNG random number generator. Ross really wants Johnny. Heart is attached. Johnny, Ross's heart is attached to Johnny. Okay, we need a method which will be like generate random seed. It will be a little bit different than just generating a random number because we're going to hash it for this purpose. But first things first, we have to set the seed. So game setup needs to take a new... Oh, interesting. There's way more arguments on here than I thought there were, so I'm going to have to... We're always going to need to pass in this RNG, though, so we'll put it at the front. We'll put it at the front. And we're going to have to look for where this method is called to make sure we are not going to get some errors later. So anyway, RNG is getting passed in. We'll put a type on it because we can. And all the rest of this stuff happens here, so we'll do this here. RNG... No, wait. We're not passing in an RNG, we're passing in a random seed. Random seed, which is an integer that we're passing to the RNG. Okay, I'm confusing myself here. RNG set seed random seed. We need a Johnny branch, the clean says. It'll be exactly like the game otherwise, but just that one thing is named Johnny. All right, so, well, okay. Maybe we can come up with a compromise here, because naming the node Johnny is super confusing, because it's like there's nothing else here to indicate that this is a random number generator. It'll just say type node, and I'll have to look at the script. What if we call the variable Johnny? Will that work? Because it's clear that it's a random number generator. From everything else here. Here, and I'll put a little comment. Johnny passes out random seeds. There we go. Ross says that's barely acceptable. All right, so Johnny's getting his seed, and we will need a method to ask for new random seeds from Johnny. Where do we put this method? We'll put it kind of below the rest of this stuff. We'll put it by the free space detector. It's kind of in the same sort of vein of thing. Maybe even above it, since it sort of has precedence. Free space detector needs a random number generator. So I'll say generate random seed. And we will start, I guess, by just asking Johnny for a rand I, but we need to hash it. And I don't recall the generally just generating hashes from an integer thing. I know like dictionary has a hash method, maybe hashing context. Anyone remember the API method to just hash a variant? Oh, here we go. I can see the description here. Turns the integer hash of a variant. Take me there. Oh, is it just hash? Is it just literally, is the method just called hash? It is. Okay. I am curious though what kind of hash this is. Like what hashing algorithm is it using? I'm also curious just to see how different the values end up. Let's do like a little test scene so we can play with this. 2D scene, we'll call it hash test. And I'm going to save it. A little script on it. And we'll just make an integer 27. And we'll print out the hash of 27 and just see what that is. I will be upset if it's just going to put out 27 thinking like, ah, that's a really fast way to hash that number. It's unique for 27. Let's find out. It does. It does just do that. Okay, we need something that will like hash even an integer. Like let's go look at hashing context here. What do we got? What is hashing context? Context to compute cryptographic hashes over multiple iterations. How does it work? MD5 is fine. MD5 would be fine. Although MD5 works on strings generally, although we can feed it binary data here, we can feed it binary data here. Is there another MD5 method in Godot? Something maybe simpler? Oh, okay, on string there's a way to do it. Okay, I think hashing context ends up being what we want. So how does this work? So we create a hashing context. Start gives the hash type. Update lets us pass in the binary data, which in our case we're not getting it from a file, so we'll have to separately make this pool byte array. So let's go back to our test scene and try to do this. We need hashing context. Hashing context start. MD5 is fine. And we want the binary MD5 out of it too. We don't want the, can we get the binary value? Yes, we can. Oh, but it's going to be huge. We just need a single, maybe we'll just take the first byte. We need just a simpler hash, like a CRC kind of hash. Simple integer hash function. What integer hash functions are good that accept an integer? That's literally what we need to do. What is this? What algorithm is this? Provides good statistical distribution. Each input bit affects each output bit with about 50% probability. There are no collisions. Each input results in a different output. The algorithm is fast, except if the CPU doesn't have a built-in integer multiplication unit. Yeah, that's not a problem here. Assuming int is 32-bit, it's not, it's 64-bit. Java replace blah, 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 remove unsigned. Do we have shift in GDScript? Is that a thing we can do? And is that XOR? I don't use that operator very often. XOR, yeah, okay. So do we have an XOR operator? I don't know that we do. Okay, let's find GDScript operators. Okay, we have bit shifting, and we have XOR. Okay, we are set. We are golden. All right. So we could try this. Ooh, here's a 64-bit version of it. What's the clean saying? There's no XOR in GDScript. It seriously just said there was. Here, bitwise XOR. I have to admit, I've literally never used it, but the docs say there is. So we can try it, see what happens. So anyway, where was I on this hashing algorithm? Can we type hex literals like this in GDScript too? So many things that I've never done in GDScript are happening right now. Let's go back here. Let's get rid of this hashing context stuff. That is just too much, just too much. So I guess let's change this to X. And we got to get rid of this uint business. See if these hex literals will work. Are you going to like that? What do you not like about that? Tabs and spaces. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I copy and pasted it. Are we good? All right. Let's see what happens. I have no idea what these magic numbers are. I should read more of what this Stack Overflow post is to see how this works. All right. That's big and different. Let's change it to 26. Or actually, let's make this into a method and loop a little bit here. We'll do simple hash x, which has to be an integer or bad things will happen. Return x. And let's just do like a range of values. We'll say for I in range 0 to 30. And we'll print simple hash I. And what we're hoping is that despite a tiny change in the bit value of the integer, a very big change in the hash. And if that is true, then this hash will work for our purposes, and we can run with it. Those aren't quite as big a difference as I was hoping. What is it complaining? Cannot represent this as a 64-bit integer. Oh, because everything is signed in GDScript. There are no unsigned values. So that's where we went wrong here. Here's an unsigned version with some different magic numbers. All right, more copy and paste. Let's drop this in. And we'll see if this works for us better. That last one did not have big enough change, really. These numbers are super similar, like the first half of them is the same. So let's try this. That looks a lot better. Look at that. And is it still complaining about, okay, what? How is this? Still saying that this hex value is too big. Let's go see what assumptions are being made here. For Java, blah, 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 we're not doing Java. In this case, Reversing is, wait, we don't want to reverse. We don't want to unhash. Okay, wait, this is still unsigned. I don't know why I thought it was signed. Let's see if there's a signed version here. No, they're all... What is this one? I heard a Discord beep. Oh, right. So the clean is saying there's not a Boolean XOR, just a bitwise XOR. Which, if you convert your Boolean values to numbers, couldn't you use that for binary? I mean, I guess it's less less usable. Okay, so everyone's using unsigned integers here. And for better or worse, we have to use signed integers because that's all that GDScript supports. What if we use the 32-bit version? Well, no, that won't work if we pass in a 64-bit number, which we could certainly get, right? Because the random number generator could give us anything in the 64-bit range. Or can it? Like, let's check the docs on that. Number generator. Ross is suggesting something. Let's follow the link. Oh, I probably should have followed the link so you guys could see it. But I'm doing Discord on this one. 1,000,000 random digits. Yeah, I'm gonna try to find a solution that I can copy and paste from Stack Overflow first before I dig into a book. But this does look interesting. With 100 normal deviates. Ross says, not a real suggestion. Okay, okay. I don't know. How do I get back to just the plain docs for random number generator? How did I get so far off course here? Here we go. Here's the class link. So rand I. Okay. Rand I, according to the documentation, generates a 32-bit unsigned integer, even though integers in GDScript are 64-bit unsigned integers. But maybe this is true. I hope it's true. We can look at the code. Actually, we just need to look at the header. That will tell us because, yeah, okay, rand I will generate a 32-bit number. Cool. Which will be signed because everything is signed in GDScript. It's generating it unsigned, but maybe that means that we can just use this unsigned 32-bit math and good things will happen. I'm hoping. Back to the top here. Let's go to this one. And it's the same hex number twice. I guess, yeah, okay. I'll try to see if it works for our purposes first, and then I'll try to understand it second. Maybe I should be doing it the other way around, but this is the lazy programmer way. Okay, what do we get? Interestingly, so this isn't ideal, looking at the series of numbers that it's generating, because they increase in the kind of order of the number that we're given. So what that means is some property of this hash means that, you know, a lower input number creates a lower output number. But that isn't the worst thing in the world because our numbers are random anyway. We just kind of need to make sure that there's enough variation in them to satisfy the kind of requirement that the Godot docs gave us here for the seed. So this isn't the best hash, but it is good enough, I think. Ricardo says the reviews of the book are very positive. It's kind of heartwarming, actually. It's a heartwarming... So what is this book? 1,000,000 random digits with 1,000,000 random deviates. Is it actually a math book, or is it something else with just a mathy title? Where's the description? Where's the description? There's like, I just want a synopsis. I see lots of reviews, but no like synopsis. The hardcover version of this book, it says is $768. That's a little expensive, Amazon. It's just a huge collection of random numbers, really? Okay, I'll go look at the book preview. Let's look inside. Okay, whoa. Table of random digits. And then the whole thing is just this table of random digits? I wish I had opened this up on my main screen here. Let me, this is going to disrupt the overlay to find my way over to Discord and grab the link. Okay, let's get the overlay back on, and then I will get this screen to switch monitors here. So we get past the sort of intro forward section, and then okay, yeah, here we go, some stuff, and then it's just random numbers for the rest of the thing. Wait, this is different than the preview I looked at before. My other computer. Here we go. This is what I was seeing before. Just random digits forever, and it looks it's like typewriter font, possibly having been printed out on some sort of teletype kind of thing. This is crazy. This is an enormous use of paper. How many pages is this? 600 pages. Holy cow. Yeah, but look at this hardcover. $768.57. Must be a collector's item. You can get, that's for a new copy. A used copy you can get for more money, $893. I accidentally copied Restream chat over here. Save yourself time, and if you need a random number, just sort of think of a random number in your head and write it down. Odds are it's in the book already, and you saved yourself $80. That's classic. That's awesome. All right, so back on course here. I think this hash will probably work. Let me go look at the Stack Overflow explanation and see if there's any like gotchas in there. So I found the following algorithm provides a very good statistical distribution, which I think is probably what we need. Each bit affects each output bit with about 50% probability. There are no collisions. Each input results in a different output. The algorithm is fast, except blah, blah, blah. The magic number is calculated using a special multi-threaded test program that ran for many hours, which calculated the avalanche effect. We need an avalanche effect. That's what we want. The number of output bits that change if a single input is changed should be nearly 16 on average. Independence of output bit changes, output bits should not depend on each other, and the probability of a change in each output bit if any input is changed. The calculated values are better than the 32-bit finalizer used by Murmur Hash, and nearly as good, not quite, as when using AES. Yeah, I'm sure AES is way better, but we don't need something that processor intensive. Okay, let's roll with this. Let's do this one. This seems fine. Let me get the info to credit here. It says CC by SA4. So I probably should put some credits like in a public place, but I'm going to definitely put credits in the code. I don't know if you guys do this. I try to credit the things that I take from Stack Overflow, both so that I can find them later and understand my own code, but also it's the right thing to do. So from Stack Overflow, or I'll just say from link, from here, license, SA, what was it? Hang on. CC by SA 4.0. Or Creative Commons by SA 4.0. And author Thomas Mueller. I never spell Mueller right. All right, I did it. Good. And we will copy this out of our test scene into the place where it really needs to be. How are we doing on time? Time just always flies when we're streaming. Okay, so we need to go to game. Make this be kind of like a private function. It'll be like simple integer hash. And we'll do a simple integer hash from Johnny's random integer. Okay, so we are creating a random seed. We are passing it to all clients. It's ending up in the game class, which is initializing Johnny with it. Or are we initializing Johnny with it? Did we remember to do that step? Let's search for Johnny in here. All right, yes, we are. And then we are able to generate a random seed with it. So now we need to have our network random number generator things get a random seed from Johnny. And if it wasn't for the fact that I am putting this in the asset for everyone, I would bake that right into the class. Like, that would be fine. But because this is going in the shared asset for the asset library, I'm going to put it in the individual things that are using it. Although I suppose we could make our own like child class that does it automatically, which would be kind of cool. Do we want to do that? It would be like RTP random number generator. Then we have to go change what all those nodes are. I will think about that while I'm trying to find my way back to the drop crate spawn area. So what we would do is when the drop crate spawn area is created, we would, because this has access to game, right? Yes, so in map object start, we have access to game. So yeah, maybe we also need to get rid of this is network master. That's from the old implementation where only the network master was generating the values. Here we need to have the drop crate spawn area run on all clients, and we need to feed our RNG set seed with game generate random seed. That's good. I think that's good. I think trying to make our own child class is going to run into problems because we don't know how we are getting access to the game class, whereas like this knows it's getting it passed in map object start. Zap will have it from a different method. Let's go look at Zap. I still have Zap open. Yes, I do. And where is it doing its stuff? I guess attachability seems like a fine place to do it. I guess I kind of... Okay, there is a problem here. The Johnny needs to roll back too. Right now, Johnny isn't rolling back because Johnny is just... Or is Johnny rolling back? Okay, yes, Johnny is rolling back because Johnny is one of our special things. Whatever, okay, cool. Never mind. I don't know why I was thinking Johnny wasn't rolling back. So that should be good. Attachability can run multiple times during a rollback. So, did we call it RNG? We did. Let's initialize it down here. Say RNG set seed game generate random seed. This may be enough to make this work. It just may be. Let's run just in practice mode. Oh, we didn't prepare practice mode for this. Practice mode isn't doing any of these things. Hang on. Is that okay though? Because practice mode, it doesn't matter. Johnny will just be initialized with some random value. Probably not very random. Oh, but we still need to pass it in because we changed method signatures and stuff. So yeah, if I go run practice, it should crash. So we've not updated it to use the new method signature, right? Yep, crash. Because game setup is being passed in, not being passed in a random value here. And how are we going to generate that value? Same way as we did in the match scene. Random number generator, we'll create it. We will randomize. And then we'll say RNG, RNG seed. And I'm going to just grep through and make sure we're not calling game setup anywhere else that we might need to change. Game setup, base manager, cool. Let me go into our mods and see if there's nothing there too. There is the football mode. Always, oh no, Battle Royale also. Okay, well let's not worry about the football mode right now. I have so much work that needs to be done there. Let's go just to the Battle Royale game mode, which is under mods, core, modes, Battle Royale. And it is game setup, start new round. This could be getting called on one of the hosts too, not just the client. Okay, Battle Royale mode needs a ton of work, yeah, this is all still set up for the old netcode. Whatever. Okay, we're not going to address Battle Royale right now either. Let's just make sure that practice mode works, and I guess Battle Royale. Okay, hang on. We should just be able to grab it from a variable. Yeah, okay, because the random seed is actually passed into the match mode when the match mode is created, and Battle Royale is a match mode, so we should already have it, and we can just reuse it every time. Cool, done, solved. Okay, let's exit out of here, start it up again, make sure practice works, and then we'll actually try it with 2 clients and see if they spawn the same crates in the same place with the same contents. So right now, we just want to see some crates spawn without crashing. That's what we want to see. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio is a little messed up because of the rollbacks. So spawn 2 crates. Dealing with the audio is like one of the next things on my list. We're dealing with random numbers, and then we're dealing with audio. Hopefully the last things that we have to figure out for rollback and prediction. Okay, cool. So practice mode worked. Let's start a battle here. And we are going to do Battle Royale because it is the simplest of the game modes. Alright, so I'm going to bring this tank over here, bring this tank over here, have it not sit on the spawn area, just in case, just as out of an abundance of caution here. And let's wait 20 seconds. Waiting for 20 seconds. So it's good that we're seeing them be synchronized. Ah! So drop crate spawned over here, but not over there. Alright, what is causing that? There might still be some code somewhere that is causing some things to not happen if you're not the host. So let's go on the lookout for those. So map object start is being called always. with a random seed, blah, blah, blah. Let's drop creator power up. I don't see anything else in here that is specific to being the host. Let's go another step up. Something is calling this map object start. It's possible. Map object start. It's possible that that is checking if all right, so base map is calling it. I believe that is in components. Maps, base map. It does not appear to be. Maybe map start is only being called on. Game, does map start? Map start. Game start. Mid signal game started. Policy was false. Okay, so this looks like it is being called on all of the. Okay, time to start setting some breakpoints. Let's go to drop crate spawn area. Set a breakpoint right here. I will have to make sure that this client is the not host, so that I get the breakpoint. So let's go start another client. And we will do a private match so that we can ensure this one is the host. Create the private match, copy, join, paste. Ready. Let's go. Okay, so we lost sync because a breakpoint was hit. But this appears to be working, at least here. So we go. Oh, I didn't mean to fully continue, actually. Wait, why is map object start being called twice? That's interesting. What I intended to do is step over, not continue. So we get the contents, we set the free space detector, we start the drop timer. So ultimately it's the drop timer that spawns it. So on drop timer timeout. That should still be connected, right? Yeah, I mean it says it's connected right here. Spawn drop crate. Okay, we'll do this again with a breakpoint in a little bit different place. We will break on spawn drop crate. Sorry for the yawn. And we are going to, while we're waiting, we'll inspect the. Actually, does it show anything on the timer if it's running? I was gonna say we're gonna go into the remote inspector and see if the timer is running, but I'm actually not sure if it shows anything on the timer if it's running. Let's see. Drop timer. Oh, it does. Yeah, we do see a running property. Okay, cool. All right, take two. We have a new breakpoint in the spawn drop crate thing. Method. That's what those things are called. And we will try again. Private match, copy, battle, join a private match, paste, join, do it. Let's go. Okay, so go sit over here by this spawn area, drive our master over here by this spawn area, and while we're waiting for things to happen, we'll go in here and look at the spawn areas in the remote inspector. Oh, well, it happened already. Okay. So we should be able to see drop timer that it's running, and it has caught the spawn thing has happened. Okay, so let's see what's not happening here. We'll do step over. We're doing all of this stuff. This seems all good. Through here. What? Division by 0. Oh, this possible contents. I bet this is not being distributed to the non-hosts. Okay, so Possible pickups. Man, converting existing code is frequently so much harder than just writing code from scratch, because I have all these baked in assumptions in the old code base that are just not true anymore. Possible pickups. And we don't even need this like possible pickups thing to be distributed as we did before, because like we now have everything basically being deterministic, so we don't need to do that. But we'll stick with it for now. We'll try and remove it some other time. I just want this work. I just want this to work. Just need to get this thing working. So it looks like the game class is what makes it. Possible pickups. Ah, here we go. Is network master. Get rid of that. This does actually kind of make sense that only the master would do this because it comes from mods, but there's so many other problems with this related to mods that haven't been addressed yet. Like there should be something that makes sure that all players are playing with the same mods. Otherwise just weird stuff happens. But we'll forget about that for the moment. This should get us going. I'm gonna get rid of that breakpoint. Where was that? That was in drop crate spawn area. And let's just start this up again. I'm gonna operate on the assumption that that's gonna make this work. So I'm not gonna try to do any special debugging things. We'll just get in there, try it, see what happens. All right, let's go hang out by this drop crate spawn area. Drive this one over to hang out by the same drop crate spawn area. Just have to wait a few more seconds. Shoot each other while we wait. That is syncing beautifully. Okay, did it spawn on both? In the same spot! We'll have the same contents. Health for both. Okay. The real test will be some power-ups, some actual power-ups. Like the targeted shot. Okay. Oh, it looks like it counted as a pickup. And it's working! It's working! Here you guys can see how the tracer works. It has a series of rays, and it works like counting from the inside ray outward, and that's how it picks your target. You can't normally see that when you're playing the game, obviously. But cool. That was awesome. Let's see what else works. Ah, just 2 tracers? Or, come on, go up there and get it. Is it working in both directions? Yeah. So let's go pick up the other power-up. See what we got. I'm really curious about the abilities. How the come on, tracers? Just all tracers? Are they generating the same? Hang on. Are both drop areas? Okay, so they're in different spots. They should have different contents then. So this one has invisibility, and this one has, okay, Railgun. All right, it's 2 different things. Let's see if Railgun, one of the more difficult, or complex, I should say, internal abilities, like complex internally. Ooh, those bounces are looking deterministic, guys. All right, let's test out invisibility. Okay, so I'm the blue tank with invisibility. I'm gonna press it. I should disappear on the lower window, but remain sort of translucent on the upper window. Haha! And when I shoot, I reappear. This is working really well for having never tested these abilities in network mode before, because I couldn't, right? I couldn't without the drop crates working. Oop, but I came back, but I didn't come back here. Haha, we found a bug! Let's go take a look at that. Let's go take a look at invisibility. I can't believe, oh man, some days like nothing works, and some days everything just works. This is working really great. All right, let's check out invisibility. I'm not celebrating as much as I should for this thing just working. Abilities, invisible. I'm missing something at the end that makes it visible again. So lifetime timer should run. Oh, okay. So I'm having the warning timer run I'm having both the warning timer and lifetime timer only run if it's network master, but what I need is for both of those timers to run. So that when the timer runs out on both client and host, the tank gets marked visible and actually removed from the tank. Because that is, as it is currently, like actually one of these clients thinks the invisibility is still attached to the tank. So anyway, let me pick something up. Zap. I want to test zap so bad, but not if I'm already invisible. Okay, whatever. We'll test out zap by having this guy pick it up. So I'm now the green tank, and I'm hoping I'm gonna use the zap. I'm gonna disappear on both screens, have the camera move only on one, reappear in another in the exact same location, right? Because this is a shared random seed to generate the same random location both times on both clients. So here we go. Haha, the same. It was the tiniest movement, but it was the same movement. Yeah, that's the same location. I'll have to drive a little bit to go see if that's the same spot. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so other than that invisibility thing, ooh, here we go. Perfect test. So because this window's running, this top window's running in debug mode, and I made that change to the code, it actually should have my change in the running game. Let's try it. So I'm turning invisible. I shoot and I reappear. Let's see if I become visible again. So okay, here comes the warning. And I didn't become visible again. Okay, so maybe the live reload didn't work. But I'm still astonished that this is working as well as it is. So let me drive over to make sure that that's a targeted shot. Can I run into the other one? Yeah, okay. So this is targeted. Okay, shoot this one. Targeted also. We seem to be getting a lot of those. All right, I'm just gonna kill everything and start over to see if we fix that invisibility issue. Oh, you know why? Okay, I was imagining the live reload would work, but it's not because the bug is actually on the other client, the one that's not running in debug mode because it's not being run from the editor. So that's why live reload isn't working there. Live reload is one of the most amazing features of Godot, but there's all these like weird subtle edge cases where it doesn't work. And like I always get faked out. Like, did that not work because live reload didn't happen, or did that not work because my fix was wrong, right? All right, let's get our folks lined up here. I will actually, here we go. I will drive into the detection area because the code should not place an object on us. And I haven't tested it, but it should. Oh yeah, the name tag seems to still be visible while invisible. That is a problem. I don't know why I didn't notice that. For some reason, that didn't occur to me. Okay, cool. So, health. Who wants health? That's like getting socks for Christmas. Health, jeez. Okay. How are we doing on time? Wow, 12 minutes left and like the thing we were working on is working? Health, come on. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. Okay, here we go. Railgun. That's more interesting. This has some of the most complicated physics engine using code in it. And so just watching to make sure it does the same thing on both sides. Okay, here we go. Let's get this other health. Well, I guess I need it. I've been shooting myself. Let's go pick up whatever's over here. Health. Okay, I'm just gonna verify it's the same thing in the same place. Yep. What do we got over here? Tracer! We're really hoping for invisibility. If we don't get it soon, I can mess with the probability. That's usually what I do when I'm testing a particular power-up. Actually, that's what we should do anyway, because as Ross brought up, the name tag is still there when invisible, which is wrong. So is this... Where is invisibility? Oh, it's right here. Okay, so set tank visible false. Is network master, blah, blah, blah. So what is hiding the name tag? Did I just like completely forget to do that? Wait, hang on. The name tag is like part of the tank. Why would setting the tank invisible not affect that. Let me go look at the tank scene and see how that's attached. The clean. It felt like sprite and collision shape is using different tween functions. Felt like sprite and collision shape is using different tween functions. I mean, they sort of are. You mean like when it's shrinking for zap? Wait, in what context did the sprite and collision shape seem like they're using different functions? I don't know. When teleporting, yeah, that could be. Yeah, that actually does make sense. So the collision shape is being done with the fixed point numbers, and the sprite is being done in visual. You know, just resizing the sprite with like the normal scale property, not the fixed scale property, and the visual stuff has interpolation, whereas the collision is only running at that sort of network 30 frames per second. When we do it again, I'll keep an eye out for it and try to see what you're seeing. But I guess I could understand why those would be different, since they're using a different set of math. One has interpolation, the other doesn't. Okay, what was I doing? I was trying to look at the tank scene. I was trying to look at the tank scene to see if there's a reason that the tank could be invisible, but the name tag thing wouldn't, because it's like part of it. Maybe. So Ross says, is it possible the name tag isn't being hidden because your test both tanks are using dsnopic, like you have some code that keeps the name tag visible if you think you're the one with the invisibility? Oh, yeah, I mean, that's possible. The thing is, I thought that one was a child node of the other, and so hiding a parent node should hide all of its children. So tank has the player info thing as part of it. And so when the tank is set as invisible, let's look for player info. So we're doing this magic to update its position, update health on it. We initialize it as set as top level. Maybe the set as top level causes it to not hide with its parent. The set as top level is to make it so the positions are not passed down from parent to child, which we need for to prevent the name tag from rotating with the tank. I think there's another way to prevent the name tag from rotating with the tank, but this is the way that I chose to do that. So far, no smoking guns here. I will mess with it in the remote inspector next time we do it and see if I can figure something out. For now, I want to make invisibility way more probable. So I do that by going to the invisible T-res. And no, not the ability, the pickup. The invisible pickup T-res. And crank its rarity up from 20 to like 200, which rarity is a terrible name, by the way. I should have called it frequency, because a higher number is more frequent. It's not more rare, right? Whatever, it's fine. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. 7 minutes. Let's get another instance running here. Okay, so the two things we're looking out for is that I don't become visible again at the end, and the name tag. And just generally, if we can get some weirdness to happen. I'm so amazed though that like the synchronizing the random seeds like has just worked. And I guess we have to do this a bunch of times. So last time we got 3 healths in a row. Are we getting the same stuff? Oh, nope. We got a railgun. Okay, so we didn't just get 3 healths. Don't know why we're not picking up any invisibility since we made it. There we go. Okay, so I kind of want to do that with the one that is the host. No, yes, no. I want to pick it up with the one that's not the host, so that I can inspect the remote tree on the one that is the host. Okay, there we go. I logicked my way through that. All right, so I make myself invisible. On mine, I still am here. The name tag is still there. Okay, so before our timer runs out, let's get into the remote inspector here and see if we can figure something out here. I'm doing this way too slow. My invisibility is totally gone by now. Player 2 was the invisible one. You know, it must be that the player info doesn't go away when, or that things that are set as top level don't go away. Oh, but I came back. I came back. Okay, so let's do this again. I'm closer in the tree. I'll pick up another invisible. What? It's supposed to be so many times more likely. There we go. Okay. So make myself invisible, jump over to Godot really fast, and see if player info is visible. Let me just make that invisible on its own. Okay. Yeah, it must be that things set as top level. So that's easy enough. That's easy enough to fix. We will do... Let's go to the invisible code here. What is the clean saying? You can pause the game in the editor. Yeah, I could have done that. Maybe I'll do that next time. Maybe I'll do that next time. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, so set tank visible. I think what I want to have is a method on the tank that's also set. No. Because that's going to get confusing, so I'm going to wonder how that's different from... Okay. We'll just reach right into it and mess with it. Tank player info visible equals tank visible. Or wait, we're going to go in it. We're going to go in it because we want to see if we can't trick it to screw up. Okay, we're waiting. We're waiting for a drop crate. Last time we got health railgun. Ooh, got invisible straight away. Okay, so we know that we're not repeating things. That's good. And, oh, I picked it up with the wrong, whatever. Okay, so we'll try it with this one. Ah, that's still there. Interesting. I wonder, let's go look at tank. Okay, so usability, set tank visible false. So that should set player info visible false. It's really called player info, right? Player info node. Okay, and the reason that didn't crash is because in not debug mode, which of course we can't see the messages, that would just generate a message and not crash. Okay. Let's get back to invisible. And it's player info node. And let's start this all over. So something, you know, I've been complaining about doing C++ for the last bunch of weeks, but something that's nice about C++ is that problem would have been caught by the compiler. And not just at runtime. And of course you can say that about C# too or whatever, but... And I'd much rather write C# code than C++ code. I'm sorry, C++. You are one of my early loves, but these days I would prefer not to have the frustration. Waiting for a drop crate. Oh, 1 more minute. Will we have this fully working in 1 minute? Spread. It's not what I ordered. Okay, where's invisible? Health? I gotta look at the rarity numbers on some of these other things. Because I feel like we should have gotten an invisible. It's set to 200. Most of the other things are set at 20. Invisible, there we go. Okay. Whew, there we go. The name tag disappeared, so that's good. Driving all over. You see me appear when I shoot. That's also looking good. Oh, and the name tag's appearing too, also good. And I reappeared! Oh, I didn't test that I reappear when I get shot. That's the next thing to try. Okay, so... invisible. And then, there we go! It looks beautiful! Folks, we did it! We solved randomness for rollback and prediction networking here. Whew. That's a good stream. That is a good stream. Let's commit this. We only had to copy 4 lines from Stack Overflow. I'm just looking at the diff real quick. Oh, I have to change that rarity back. Good thing I was looking at the diff. Change it back to 20. Let's add that again. Look at the diff. Yeah, we're passing in a random seed. Johnny! We got Johnny distributing some random seeds. Yeah, and the 2 sets, like the 2 streams of random numbers between Zap and the drop crates seem to work perfectly. I think our hashing function is doing what we need it to do. Yeah. All right, let's commit it. Got random number generation working deterministically across clients and tested weapons and abilities. Let's push that. And it should build it. I have the GitLab CI build working again. That was actually not working for a little while. I had a compiler error that was not happening locally, but was happening on CI, as things always are. But the last build was a success, so I expect this one to be too. Yeah. Ross says that is really looking great, and I thanks, man. Thanks. I think so too. This is really coming together. So what do we have left to do? I have to make sure all the game modes work correctly. Port those all over to rollback and prediction. There was one other thing I even mentioned earlier, like, and after we do randomness, we have to do this other thing, and I can't remember what it is. Do you guys remember? We had to do random numbers. Oh, sound. We have to figure out how to do sound, because right now, I don't know if you guys can hear it on stream, but every sound plays twice, like at the same time, and it's like got this weird kind of out of phase thing going. We have a bunch of things in the game where we are like keeping game objects alive until their sound finished playing, because Godot, with its node-based structure, kind of works better where you attach all of the sounds to the game object that is using them, as opposed to having some kind of sound manager. But we're going to have to not do that, because we can't do the trick where we're keeping things alive until the sound finishes playing, because the exact time the sound finishes playing is not deterministic. So we are going to need some kind of sound manager. I did start one. I started making a sound manager, but it doesn't work the way I want it to. So we solve random numbers. We still have to solve sound. I still have to port the game modes and everything related to football mode, but like, we are so close. We are so close. I can't believe this is actually starting to work. So yeah, I mean, we're a week or two away from maybe having everything completely ported. We're a week or two away from being able to release the physics engine. Things are looking good. Things are looking good. This was such a long detour to start working on rollback and prediction for this game that are supposed to be done working on in April. Still working on it. Anyway, wow. Thanks everyone for coming. This was a really great stream. I'm feeling really good about the state of the project. And yeah, thanks as always for your comments and your help being the hive mind, helping making this go. And I guess, yeah, join the Discord if you're not in the Discord. We can hang out, chat about stuff. I sometimes post about my midweek progress there. And I'll see everybody next week. Thanks a lot.